All right, good morning. There we go. All right. That's a good place for that. All right. It's time to do some coding. It's very unusual. It's not Sunday morning. It is, in fact, a Thursday morning. I think. I hope. What day is it? Yeah, Thursday. All right. Thanksgiving here in the U.S. But I was actually doing some coding on the front end, kind of what we were working on last Sunday, yesterday, and spent some time working on that yesterday. It was like wasn't really in a streaming mood yesterday, but it seemed like a good time to start up a stream, and we can kind of dive into this front end project again. Okay. So what are we doing? So previously, we've been working on this calendar view, and the next step was authentication. Well, I have to say, that's what I ended up doing yesterday. There was a lot of fiddly stuff, and I'm sort of, in a way, it would have been potentially interesting to do on stream, but on the other hand, some frustration, and spent a lot of time kind of trying various things. Didn't end up getting what I wanted working. Let's see. Here's that. All right. So do we merge? Good. Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to have passkey support, aka WebAuthn. And the way I ended up doing authentication with Cognito, I ended up using the hosted login pages, which also, as it turns out, Cognito now supports passkey, aka WebAuthn. But to actually have it work right, I would need to have this deployed and have a custom domain and a bunch of stuff. Otherwise, the things don't line up, and then the browser's like, hey, you can't do that. That's not safe. They're not the same domains between like the locally running thing and what's providing the search effectively. So anyway, long story short, I did get a thing working. Maybe we can see that. Start. There we go. Open a browser. Hey, and it even opens in the right browser. All right. So, it immediately sees that we're not logged in. Takes me to the login page, which then redirects to Cognito. The other way I could have done the authentication would be to implement the actual login pages and stuff inside of the app. That could have also worked. There's actually a React admin. There was a repo that I found, like a project, that adds those pages, but I didn't want to do that because it didn't have support. It wouldn't. That's where you would have to, in this UI, implement support for WebAuthn, right? So like here's passkey. Now this is set up, and I actually have a separate branch where I was experimenting with this, where you can add a passkey in the app. But unfortunately, it does, like, this domain doesn't agree with the local host that the app is running at. So this doesn't work quite yet. So I'll just use my very long password. And it's broken. Probably because... Oh, it's fine now. Okay. That's fine. Okay, and we're back to this app that we were looking at on Sunday. And so let's see here. So Sunday, we're working on the calendar, and I think the last thing was being able to look at this view, and then having to be able to being able to navigate previous next, and having a week view. The week view could be a little bit more interesting than what it is, but sure. There we go. the list. Okay, so today, I think what makes sense now that I have a login, I can have a profile. So I did make a profile page, and we have some info. I think what I'll do is, so we're gonna do this user profile stuff. I'm gonna remove this. This is a later thing. So I think I mentioned on stream, it's probably been a couple of weeks now. One of the things I was thinking about, since I have the ability to log in with the Cognito user, there's a feature in AWS that lets you have the ability to get a credential to call into AWS services based on having a Cognito user. Like, you can say, oh, I'm logged in, I have this active session. And if there's things set up in AWS for it, that user can then get a temporary AWS credential to be able to call services. Which means that you can do things like, you can have a user log in, like a username and password for their user account, and you can temporarily give them access to AWS services in a way that you don't have to you don't have to bake in a IAM user in the front end or anything like that would be leaking stuff to the world. And then what you can do is you can get that user permissions to do things like write to S3, to like upload, or to write to DynamoDB or whatever else. Now, there are some gotchas with that, because either the resources you're giving that particular user permission to it's like a read-only resource that what am I trying to say? Essentially, you have to lock down those permissions, because then your resources in AWS become things that are kind of that becomes your API, right? So you have to worry about making sure you're giving just the right access in those roles, right? And thinking about what I want to do with this, that is a little bit, it doesn't really fit with where I see this going. So I decided that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to build an API. And in fact, we started doing that a few streams ago back in Glowing Telegram, where in the Pulumi code, we started working on an API to, I don't remember where it is anymore. Is it NetPy, because I didn't move it anywhere else? Yeah, so we have an API gateway. So the thing that I'm going to be doing in the future is making it so that in order to be able to call this API, you will have to have an active session authenticated through Cognito. And so that'll be the access control for that. So another long story short, kind of summation of that is that eventually, if you look in the app.tsx, currently I'm using this local forage data provider. So we're just using, we're storing in the browser the application, simulating a backend, right? Eventually, I'm going to replace this with something that we'll call that API. Something. So until then, though, we should be able to get away with just using our data provider. And in our, let's see. So, what's changed here? So one thing I did to make things work a little nicer is that I wrapped the admin component with this create browser router. So React admin by default uses, it uses React router DOM, but by default it uses the memory router or something, a different router. That means that all of your URLs in the app are they use fragments. So it's like profile, like that, right? And I was having some difficulties with that and the redirects coming back from Cognito. So I changed that to use this. There was actually an example of doing this in the docs for React Admin, so that was helpful. And then I have the other thing that's changed here is custom routes. I've added a profile route that goes to this profile page component. And then I have a new folder. I have a login page and a profile page. The login page is just passed in here to the login page prop. Because React Admin can automatically add the route for that. And then for profile, we end up with this, which is a thing that exists. Let's see. So how do I want this to actually work? I think what I ended up doing with this page is that I just told Copilot to write me a profile page with a couple of fields, and I just dumped this out. So I probably want to think about what I want to actually have it do here. Let's see. So I don't think do I want profile here? Okay, so we have this object. Interesting. What do I want to actually do here? I think, at least for right now, I don't actually want these fields to be editable. These are coming from Cognito, and I will probably need to have a separate way of updating them. So I think what I'll do is I'll change this to be kind of like an informational card. And then we'll have another section where we'll have a form with the things that are here. So time zone, Twitch credentials, vacation days, and tags for streams. Yeah. How is this gonna work? Need OAuth flow and still can access refresh tokens and user profile. How is that going to work? Can I do that purely in the front end? I think so. I want to. Well, we'll think about that. I'll probably have to go look at the docs for how the flow works, or look at the other code that we already have in Glowing Telegram, because we already have a thing where it does this. Or alternatively, I don't know. I'll think about that a little bit. Let's, hey, Moody Abigail, thanks for the lurk. Appreciate it. And, you know, I don't know if you're in the US, but if you are, happy Thanksgiving. So, how do I want to do this? Let's just see. So let's get rid of the state right here. So we have some helpful things here to interact with the UI. Is this the right? I feel like that this is not the right way to handle requiring authentication for a page. Let's go look at the React admin docs. What's this authenticated component? Okay, cool. So you could use the use authenticated hook, but we could just wrap our route, the component for the element for the routes in it, and that works too. Okay, I think that will be better. App. There we go. And see, this stuff doesn't need that because it's all handled inside a resource. But for a profile page, do that, and then we'll just import. There we go. And then we don't need to do this. And we don't need actually any of this because I'm not. Actually, I might want that function call there. And then I'm gonna get rid of all of this. Const avatar URL equals. Actually, I kind of like this. If there's no identity, we're just going to return null, like that. We'll just not render the component, which is fine because this shouldn't be renderable anyway. I might want card actions for later. Let's go ahead and get rid of that stuff. And then for this, get rid of the button. And we're going to how do I want to actually show this, though, is the question, right? Well, oh, and I have a tab with Material UI. What's a good kind of display thing here? Let's look at the card. There might be some ideas for how we can display things. Table doesn't feel right. Maybe just kind of looking for some inspiration for how I might want to display this information. Yeah, badges are like number things, yeah. Versus a chip. Guitar chips. This is more if you have like, it doesn't feel like the right for tags. Those are good. List. Doesn't seem right. Is there a let's go back to card really quick. Here's one that, okay, let's look at this. This looks, I mean, not what I'm trying to do, but I think this is the avatar component embedded inside of the card, and I want to see how they're doing that. What's that actually look like? I see card header, and then an action. We won't have an action, title, subtitle. Okay, that seems good. Yeah. Avatar is that, and then there should be like a sub header. Yeah, something like that, and then we'll do something just to display the email address, maybe. In fact, How about not? What if I just do this? It's simple. I don't know that I need height. In fact, I don't know that I need any of that. That's all just stuff that Copilot. There we go. All right. The Copilot made. So this is going to be read only fields from the identity. Variable fields that we get update from the data. Yeah, so maybe something like this, but yeah, I think I'll do something like this actually. Oops, there is no role. Profile. What are we doing? No email? What's the definition of identity? That's coming from useGetIdentity, huh? It returns a useGetIdentity result, which is a user identity, which has ID, full name, avatar, and then potentially some other things. Is this a thing? Yeah, that's fine. There it is. Okay. Is there UI? Now, I can do more here, but I don't think I will. Let's. So, what are the things we want to show here? Let's get back to making forward progress. Time zones, switch credentials, vacation days. Time zone. Locale is interesting. I'm not doing that though. Twitch login, credentials, Twitch OAuth, tokens, Discord maybe not right now. Vacation days. Skip days. That's fine. And standard tags. So do I want to do this way? Probably not. Sort of. Let's think about this for a second. So, get rid of that for a moment. So what I've started doing is I don't anticipate. I mean, maybe I'll want to translate this later, but I might as well, uh, take advantage of the built-in translation. They use translate hook and all that stuff. But what I've started doing is since of course, there aren't, what would you call these? I guess translation keys for the things that I want to, describe, like time zone. I'm just putting in GT for glowing telegram, and then I guess I'm doing profile.timezone for this, and then I just have a default translation so that this works even though I haven't provided a translations thing. Because why not? Especially if Copilot is going to do the work for me, might as well. We're also going to make a profile here. I'm going to get rid of some things we don't need. That. We're going to just create a const profile. Yeah, and we're just going to bake in some things like that. So we have time zone, we have Twitch access token, refresh token, vacation days. This is going to be a list like that. Interesting. Just hard coding some value so we can see how this works. Let's see, default tags. Lurkers, welcome. What's the other one I always have? Backseating allowed. Things like that, right? Was that all I wanted? Just those 4 things? Yeah. Okay, and then let's see, gt.profile.save. And this is just a matter of doing this. Am I actually going to want to do this way? No, definitely not. And then we'll do a card header. Doing this way, we should be able to see things. Oh, and then I didn't provide a translation for this. Let me do that. There. So, how about a time zone selector? We need one of those anyway for this UI. Because I have a thing here for time zone. So we might as well figure out how we're going to do that. Does Luxon, the library that we're using, have a time zone database? Or, does it import it or otherwise bring it in? Time zones. Don't worry, you usually don't need to worry about time zones. Yeah, So the ones that I've been using are IANA, America, Los Angeles. Interesting. We have seen some fixed offset stuff, like when we're asking, like when we're doing converting between time zones and we're like console logging what was coming out. We were seeing some of this. Yes. Because our ancestors was morons, they opted for a system where many governments shift around the local time twice a year for no good reason. Nope. Whenever they want. Okay. Uh-huh. Yeah. So what do we want to do here? First, let me look at the API docs. Maybe there's in a zone. Info? Errors? What is errors? Do I want to know? Interesting. Okay. It has is valid IA in a zone, but it doesn't look like there's a way to enumerate them, which is fine. Maybe what I should be doing is looking for a already built component. Time zone selector is effectively what I'm after. It's unfortunate that enter doesn't actually trigger a search there. React.js time zone select. 2 years ago. Let's see. How is this sorted? Parts and display moments in any time zone. It's not what I'm looking for. Angular, no. Let's start keyword React. Time zone selector. Can we sort by most dependents is interesting. Well, React, great. Most downloaded. Default is magic, right? Some balance of like best matching of keywords. What about this tag? Okay, there's two things that have that tag. Okay, time zone select one thing that has that tag. If I click time zone, can I do multiple keywords? I guess so. All right, so published 2 years ago, React.js time zone select. Yeah, interesting. Oh yeah, TZDB is the kind of thing I was thinking about, of like a time zone database. So, here we go. Is this gonna... What does it actually look like? All right, so we have a component, select time zone. We are looking at time zones from VBO TZDB. Interesting. That is this. Published 5 days ago. Okay. Anyway, how does this work? What does it do? It does some logic to find time zones. It looks to see if they're valid, apparently. It does some transformation of the data from the database, and then it makes a div, and then it makes a div, and then it has a select from React select. Okay, is that it? Index.js is just re-exporting. Okay, and then lib index.js. Okay. I mean, this is fine, but the problem with using a component like this is, of course, I don't really have any. Okay, select styles, container styles, right? And so I guess I have some control over them. But I don't see what's the license on this library. License. Okay. So what I'm thinking is maybe I'll just re-implement this component myself. Because the only thing that should really matter is like this logic here. This would be, if there's anything that would be kind of special sauce, it would be like, how do you pull the data from the time zone database into something that's presentable? So, how do you make options? Populating options. So we're taking valid time zones and where. Okay, I see. So the purpose of this line is just to clean it up so that only the label and value keys are present in the resulting options array of objects. The only other place that's used is default time zones. Valid time zones fine. So it's trying to figure out what the time zone of the user, the browser's time zone. Which, yeah, okay. So I think I know what I need to know. I think I know what I need to know. All right. Let's get terminal. Do this. All right. So, I want to make here's an interesting thought. So for the profile, okay, so I'm going to create a new component. I'll call it time zone select .tsx. So what I was thinking about there is I have these other components that are like end in day and field, or sorry, end in field and input. And the reason for that is that the convention in React admin is that like your components that you use in the views, like for the list view and the show view, where it's not editable, you use a component that is kind of data type field. In this case, like it's recurrence day field, and then for the editable like inputs, you have a component that's like data type input. The thing that I'm about to make is not either of those things. It's not going to concern itself with kind of the React admin integration, like using this use input hook, because I will be using this on the profile page. And on the profile page, it will be, we're not using the React admin infrastructure, or should we? Maybe I should. Like, I could do like an edit view of a profile resource. No, I don't think that makes sense for this. At some point, if I had a view of this that was like user management, if I had like an admin, maybe. But yeah, I think this will be fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a function called time zone select, and cute, but not what I want. Return, yeah, something. Export default. Yeah, so that's a start. So what do we actually need here? So I want to use some kind of material UI component. Probably some kind of autocomplete. Text field autocomplete. So the value of the text box must be chosen from a predefined set of allowed values. Any arbitrary value. That's not the case. Combo box. Right, something like that. So we have label in here, and then options. We have disable portal, whatever that does. We have render input, which shows a text field. So that's the thing that we're interacting with there. Yeah. So, yeah, this is gonna be good. Oh, we probably do actually want to translate. Yeah. Okay. So then, let's translate is use translate. We're not going to do that way. Let's actually, maybe I'll look at the docs for the library I'm going to use rather than that particular component. So we can just do const time zones equals get time zones, yeah. So we get an array of objects with the name, alternative name, group, continent code, country name, country code, main cities, raw format. Relevant time zones are grouped. What does that mean? Let's see. The rules for grouping are the main time zone name is always the most populated city. And then we just have time zone names, an array of time zone names. Abbreviations. here's some notes. When displaying the select with the default value from your database, either select the time zone name that matches or if the time zone name is part of the group. Right, this logic here. Okay. Is this I think that's what I want to do. Okay, we'll start with this. I'm immediately thinking of the fact that this is like maybe premature optimization, but thinking about the fact that we could use that's not the right import from at what is it? VBO. There it is. So we could use memo to cache this, right? So I'm gonna map this. I'm gonna map this maybe in a different way than what we saw in the other component. Specifically, what I want to do, let's see, right. So I think what I was thinking about is that at least in this, they're iterating one time over the time zones, and then they're iterating over some amount of them again to find one that matches the current system time zone. I guess there's not really a clean way to do this with map. So instead, I'll just not use map. We'll just do this. And I don't know yet if I actually need to care about the layout of the objects, so I'm not going to care about that yet. Const default time zone shouldn't be const. Right, so they just said if this is system zone coming from Luxon? Yeah. Interesting. Look at the Luxon docs. API docs, there we go. Filter, system zone. System zone. Represents the local zone for this JavaScript environment. Really? The name is the name, huh? Okay, we can import that from Luxon now. Import system zone from Luxon, yeah. That doesn't seem right. New system zone. Apparently, there is a singleton. Static get. Yeah, dot name. Might as well call it system zone name then. And then now we can actually do what it suggested in the docs of checking if, let's see, so this is easy. Find time zone. Oh, I see. So this is supposed to be this. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay, so if that matches, let me populate default time zone. I would rather have us fail though if this somehow doesn't work. Oops. So if, first of all, I would like a stricter check here. If it's null, throw. There you go. Super. All right, so this is going to annoy me unless I do something about it. So refactor this by extracting to a function. Fetch and validate time zones. We're going to do const something equals the result of that. There we go. Yeah, just complaining because we're not using those things yet. Okay, so how about we actually show something? So we have autocomplete here from Material UI, and Copilot's generated some stuff for us, and maybe ooh, okay. So let's do this. So let's do that. There we go. And then we should be able to just use this instead of trying to do another. Like, the whole point of doing it this way is so we're only making one pass through of get time zones, that array of things. We're grabbing the relevant thing and saving it. I'm trying to avoid completely unnecessary reiterations. All right. And just close that. And what does this look like? All right, we haven't used the component yet. That would help, right? So use time zone select. And of course, currently this takes no props. That will be a thing to fix. Behold, it's a time zone selector. Yeah. So like Los Angeles, that works. But if I use PST, it doesn't find anything. So what I would like to have it to do is be a little bit more clever about finding matches. amongst other things. So I think there's some props here. Use probably. I just want to look at the docs here to be able to control like potential matches. I think what I will do is can I go to the API docs for autocomplete. Right. Auto highlight. Auto select, blur on select, classes, clear icon, clear on blur, blah 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 blah, default value. Filter options. A function that determines the filtered options to be rendered on search. Filter options. That looks promising. If we go back to the demos page, we see, there we go. Search as you type. If your logic for fetching new options, throttling requests, disable built-in filtering. Oh, I see. Okay, that's the opposite of what I want to do. Do you have other conversations? Custom filter. There we go. All right, well, I'm gonna take a break here. I'll be back in a couple of minutes.